Hey, it's Keen Souls here, and in today's video, I'm going to give a walkthrough slash overview slash setup video for Project Enigma, which is a sneakers-based bot. I haven't made a video in quite some time. I've been quite busy in other things and other aspects of my life, but thought I should give you guys some content. So I've been using Project Enigma on and off for the last couple of months now. I actually rent the bot. I don't use it on every drop. I rent it here and there on selective drops that I pick. I don't have an actual full key for the bot. I am trying to get one sometime, but so far the bot has been very consistent, and it's probably been the best sneakers bot I have used yet. It is just very consistent. There's so many features in it that just make it worthwhile. So without further ado, let me go ahead and get started. So Project Enigma is web-based. As you can see here, I'm on Google Chrome. This bot is running on Chrome. It does run another background application that you have to start up before running the browser, and it runs just in the background. You don't really see it. It's not a physical visible application. So that does have to get run or started before you boot up Project Enigma on the browser. But getting started from a standpoint of setting up the bot for the first time, of course, with any sneakers bot, you need accounts, Nike accounts, verified accounts. So right here is all of the accounts I have loaded in the bot. These are some brand new accounts I just loaded not too long ago. So you have different options when it comes to importing Nike accounts in here. You can import them this way. Project Enigma does support different formats for importing sneaker accounts. So you can import them from TSB, use sneakers, or CSV for the format. You can also export accounts. Create accounts basically just means importing them manually. So as you know, with TSB or use sneakers, you can copy and paste them. Format here that they support, if you go over the question mark, these are different formats they support. So email, semicolon I think that is, and then the password, or colon and the password. Once you paste that in there, you just hit save. So the format at the very top, Project Enigma does support resetting your accounts. And if you have any accounts that get clipped, you can reset them, which is another cool feature of Project Enigma. So if you put in your email password, recovery email password, just like how they have it on the format here on the top of the screen. If you have an account that's clipped, I'll show you later where you can go and you can basically reset the password for that account. Very cool feature to have. Also, you can delete unassigned proxies. So each account is assigned a proxy and a profile. As you know, proxy is needed for entering your task. That way you can have your accounts look like they're coming from a different location, not all from the same location. ISPs are recommended for sneaking botting in general, not even with just Project Enigma. They're faster, more reliable. So yeah, I use ISPs. Proxies I use are cookie proxies, Cove proxies. I'll leave some more information down in the description on the proxies I use. But mostly ISPs, you can use residential and get away with it. I have before, but they're a lot slower. You might encounter problems. If the drop has a lot of traffic on sneakers, then that proxy might not make it. So profiles, as you may know, basically a profile is all the information that's being entered on the account for the submission. So, your name, your address, billing information, zip code, state, city, things like that. That's basically what's contained on a profile. So you can assign a profile to an account. I'll go to the profile section and go more in detail on that. Proxies, as we discussed, if you hit show advanced here at the top, you have some more options here. So you can basically assign proxies to the accounts. If you go over here, you'll have a list of all the proxies you have. You can either assign all. So if you select, let's say, a list, I have one ISP. If I click assign all, it'll assign the ISPs to all the accounts that it can assign. So now I won't assign it to every account if you have more accounts than ISPs. So if you have 50 ISPs and 50 accounts, each account will get one ISP, obviously. But if you have 100, it'll only assign the 50 out of the 100 because you only have 50. But if you check reuse, it'll reuse the proxies until there's no more accounts to apply them to. So if you have 100 accounts, 50 proxies, that's a 2-to-1 ratio. Each ISP will be used twice. Now, I do a 2-to-1 ratio when it comes to my ISPs and my accounts. You can get away with that. It is recommended you do 1-to-1, but if needed, you can do 2-to-1. I think anything over that, you're probably pushing your boundaries. Profiles work same way. You can assign your profiles to the accounts, select some, assign some. You can reuse them. I definitely do not recommend reusing profiles when it comes to accounts. And then you can assign profiles by tag. You can tag profiles. For example, if certain profiles need to go to certain accounts, you can kind of organize it that way. But yeah, that's pretty much self-explanatory for that one. You're just going to assign your proxies and profiles to specific accounts. They will be assigned to that account until you unassign them, basically. So it'll keep the same proxy, same profile on the account. Account sessions. So if you look here next to each account, by the way, each username and password is blurred out. Project Enigma has a feature here that can hide sensitive data. That's what I have on. So if you ever, making a YouTube video or want to show off your setup, you can show it off without having your sensitive data being shown here on the screen. But account sessions, basically every account that has a green man next to it has an account session. What Project Enigma would do is log into that account. So a session is created whenever it logs into your account and it saves that session for that browser. So having a saved session does save you a lot of time when it comes to entering tasks, because whenever it enters a task, it'll check for that saved session, go straight into being logged in and waiting for that task or submitting an entry. It makes entries very fast and smooth. It is recommended that you have that. Saves you a lot of time and headache when it comes to doing drops. So sessions are good for, there's no set time. I think they can last many weeks. So there's no set time on it, but they last quite some time. Every once in a while, just to be on the safe side, if there's a big drop coming up, you probably want to, run some dry task, basically run a task for a shoe for the next day, just to see if the accounts log in and that the session is valid, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, you can reset sessions, clear them, import them, export them, and then coming down here, this is where you can reset your passwords for your accounts, like I mentioned. So if an account gets clipped by Nike and the password, has to get reset, you can automatically do it from right here. Moving along to profiles. Profiles, like we discussed, contains all the information like your name, billing information, all of that stuff. As you can see here, laid out, it'll show you the profile, address, zip, city, state, payment, number of wins, and last win, which is very cool. So you can see what profile hit, how many times it hit. This can help you when it comes to jigging profiles or seeing which ones you need to change up. You probably swap out ones that haven't hit in a while, things like that. So you can kind of strategize how you want to go about it. Up here is a tag I just have, so ignore that. You can import, export them, create them from scratch here. I'm going to go over generate here in a second for a really good feature that they have. But I make my profiles in AYCD and then I imported them here initially. You have another tool, you can do the same thing if it supports Project Enigma and just import them here, or you can just create them from scratch straight in Project Enigma. Generate now. So Project Enigma, as you know, when it comes to sneaker botting, you have to jig your addresses. That's the only way you can get entries in without getting filtered. Jigging just means you're changing your address to make it look unique and not all of them look the same. For example, you live on 123 Main Street, change it up, 123 Main Street, spelled ST or STRT, so forth. It's a lot more complex than that, but you gotta kind of get the idea from that. So Project Enigma also offers a auto jig feature. So they sell credits basically. So I think it's $20 for 30 credits. That means you can jig 30 profiles. So you would just input your information, and I'll show you really quickly. So right here, you would select how many profiles you want to jig, the profile name, keywords. So these are keywords that they will add into address line 1 and 2. Like for example, if you live in a blue house, you have a blue car, your name, things like that, that it'll add into those lines to help with the jigging. So it's very unique. It saves a lot of time, honestly. I've hit using their auto jigs. As you know, jigging can be very time consuming. So this is a big lifesaver for Project Enigma to have. But as you can see here, self-explanatory, you fill out all that information. At the bottom, you will hit generate, and it will generate based on how many profiles you designated up here. And once you generate them too, also they won't have a payment profile attached to them. So here in Project Enigma, as you can see, if you imported your profile from AYCD and you already had the card information, it'll import that profile with the payment. What you can do, what I did, is you can either create the accounts without the payment information, or if you imported it from AYCD with the payment information already attached and you use the auto-jig feature, just go ahead and select all of them and maybe unassign the payment and then just delete the profile. And then when you create the auto-jig profiles, you can just assign the payments to the ones you created. That's what I usually do whenever I use the auto-jig feature. If you click show advanced here, you can assign payments to profiles, just like how we talked about, sign all, sign selected, reuse, definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, that's how that works. Payments, these are all the payment profiles. Now, payments will just contain the name of it. If it was attached to a profile, it'll probably use that, inherit that profile's name. Card number, CCV, expiration. If you're using a virtual credit card, like Privacy, American Express, Citi, Capital One, Eno, Revolt, whoever it may be. As you know, whenever you use a virtual credit card, it does not matter what's on the billing information, shipping information, transaction will go through no matter what. So you can assign a payment profile to any profile, it'll go through. Unless you're using a specific card that has to go to a specific profile, then when you assign that payment profile to that profile, you have to be very specific with that. But otherwise, if you're using a virtual credit card, you can just load your payment informations here, create them. I just imported them with my profiles and separated them, but you can create them here from scratch. Just input the information from all your virtual credit cards, then assign them to the profiles that you created or auto-jigged or whatever it may be. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll go more into detail with that. Proxies, as you know, when it comes to botting, you need proxies. Now, I just loaded these proxies not too long ago to test some of them. It'll show you the proxy count, how many proxies are in that list, the name that you made, number of wins, and last win. Very helpful if you want to see where proxies are hitting, which ones aren't. So you can, filter out the ones you don't need or the ones that don't hit. But as you can see here, you just load the proxies, you hit create, load them here, give a name to that list. Validate proxies, basically it'll take each one of those proxies and then run it on a site like Google, for example. You can change them in settings for what site you want it to run against, but it'll use Google, for example, and it'll see if it can successfully, reach that website in a certain amount of time. If it doesn't, then it won't be valid. So it'll basically not be a validated proxy. And whenever you do that, it'll show you in the list which ones weren't validated, and you can just remove those from that list, which is very neat. Go into settings here. Here's your Discord webhook URL. You can paste that here. As you know, as a webhook, send straight to your Discord whenever you hit a shoe. You can designate what information you want in that webhook. So payment name, card number, profile name, shipping address. Very useful information here. And then, of course, you can test it to see how it looks. Max concurrent loading task. Now, this is all dependent on whatever server or computer you're using, if it can handle, a good amount of tasks running at the same time. This just basically says how many tasks can run at the same time whenever you're running, whether that's activity generating activities or tasks for going for a shoe. This is how many tasks will run at the same time. So if you have 100 tasks, if you hit start all for all of those tasks, it'll only run those 10 until they successfully wait for the drop, sign in, preload the information, all of that good stuff. Then it'll load another 10 and another 10, until it's completely done, until all of them are successfully waiting. Same thing with generating activity, which I'll go over later. It'll only do 10 tasks at a time, wait till they're done, do another 10. Proxy test URL. So going back to how we were talking about proxies, when you validate them, it'll use google.com. It'll test that proxy against that site, see if it can reach that site. If it's too slow or if there's an error, it'll just say that it'll be a proxy validation error, basically. And then this is the timeout for that proxy to test in seconds. So you can change that if you want. Maybe if you have slow proxies, you can change that, up it by a few seconds. For example, if you're using residential, which I don't recommend, it does work. I have used it though before. So, but of course you might run into errors and it might be slow. things like that. But if you're using residential proxies, for example, I'd probably up this number to maybe like 15 or 20 seconds, because the proxy might be valid, it might actually work, but it's just a lot slower than an ISP, for example. Region, United States. Browser, this is the browser that the bot will use for running its task, whether that's running tasks for getting a shoe or running activity for an activity generator. So by default, it's Chrome. Chrome is the better browser between these two for running tasks. It's just more efficient. You can run a lot more of them. Edge does work as well. I only use Edge whenever I'm troubleshooting an issue. Like, for example, sometimes a proxy might be login banned. Necessarily doesn't mean the proxy is banned from being used completely on sneakers, but it won't let you log in on an account. So sometimes I'll switch to Edge, and sometimes it'll let me log in. Sometimes that works. And then I'll just switch back to Chrome and then use Chrome. So that's the only time I really use it. Log error, this is just the format for your logs. License key will be your license key. Tools, down here on the side, you have recommendations, order checker, win tracker, so you can check an order by putting in the order information in the email. Win tracker, you can track what accounts got wins. Videos will be videos from Project Enigma. Marketplace, here you have a few options. Like I discussed before, when it comes to the auto jig feature, you do need to buy credits for that. So as you can see, it's $20 for 30 profiles. You just buy that here, and then it'll load those credits onto your account. This is for Discord access. If you're running premium access or regular access, premium access gives you access to more channels in the Discord and other features. This is for a rental, $30 for a day. You can also buy that here if you want to rent the bot. User validator. This allows you to validate any user. For example, if you see someone running Project Enigma, you want to validate that they're actual user in Project Enigma's Discord, you can plug in the information here and validate that user. Now, Project Enigma, you can access this website without having Project Enigma. I think you can also access, the marketplace as well, of course, if you want to run a bot. So you can access that without actually having a key for the bot. Those two, you can just go on, type it in your browser, and go to it. Dashboard will give you a few options here. Your Discord name, your key, Discord access, when your key expires. My rental expires tomorrow. When your Discord expires, things like that. Use this key. Every time I load up my server, since the IP address changes, I have to click that. So whenever you get on your server, if you notice that you can't go to any one of these tabs, just go to your dashboard, click use this key. You'll get a green notification here on the right, and that'll signify that you're using the key for this instance for your server. Now, if we go to sneakers for task at the top, as you can see here, this is where you create tasks. Last drop I went for were the ambushes this morning. Was not successful with that. Very low stock. It is what it is. But here, if you see my other videos, this is where you create your tasks. You can either create a task singly. Here, you can create a task one by one. No point in really doing that unless you're creating it for a specific account or something else. But I always do bulk create, so I can create all my tasks at once. Bulk create, you'll click that. Choose the product you want to go for. Here's all the upcoming products. Select the shoe. Once you select the shoe, you can put in the size. Now, if you see my other videos, you see that Project Enigma offers a max cop size list. Basically, they know how much stock the shoe will have, and they'll know how much stock each size has. The max cop list will basically give you the better chance of getting the most amount of pairs. So it might be, for example, like a size 8, size 9, size 10.5, whatever it may be, whatever order. You'll just paste that in there if you want to have the best chances. Product ID will be the product ID from that shoe. Maximum expedited shipping price. Now, this is a neat feature that Project Enigma just added recently. But basically, if you want to do one-day shipping, which I think is $15, you can hit 15. It'll do the max. So it'll do 15, no higher. So, for example, if there is a 2-day shipping, which is like $7 or $8, I'm not sure the exact amount, don't quote me on it. It won't do that one. It'll automatically do the more expensive one closest to 15. So if it's 15, 14, whatever it is, it'll do that one. If you don't want to do that and do like the one that's less than that, you do like $7 or $8, and it'll do that one. So pretty neat feature. I don't think there's any other sneaker bots that offer you to change the shipping rate. I might be mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty cool. Headless, if you know from other sneaker bots, a headless task just means that it won't open a browser. It'll run in the background. That is less demanding on your computer. So I mostly run non-headless because it's more human-like. It looks like a human opening a browser and actually trying to get the shoe. I only use headless if I'm experimenting, or if, for example, the shoe has multiple size types. If it has men's sizes and GS, typically men's sizes are filtered harder on Nike. When I say filtered, I mean I think Nike filters those entries a lot harder, so it's a little bit harder to get in men's sizes than it is any other size type. So usually for men's sizes, I'll go completely safe and do non-headless. GS, I'll do headless since it's not as filtered as as hard, and I'll basically do that. Or if you want to run more tasks, it is recommended you do no more than 120 tasks non-headless. So that means 120 browsers. Any more than that, you're gonna risk clipping your server or computer. Even if your server has a substantial amount of memory, CPU, that's just the cap when it comes to opening browsers. Anything more than that is just not stable. So you want to stay underneath that for non-headless. If you want to run more, I'll do maybe like 115 non-headless and then the rest headless. But still also want to be careful of that. Most I've ever done is maybe like 180, which was like 110 non-headless, 70 headless. But moving along here, experimental mode is a mode that Project Enigma just came out with. They're experimented on. It's basically the entry logic is different, I think, and then the browser opens differently. There's some other behind the scenes stuff going on with that, or underneath the hood things going on. I don't really know. Only the devs do, but they recommend if you do want to run it, you can do 50-50 or you can do all 100%. I don't think I know yet if it's more successful than it is not running it, but it's a mode that's brand new, so it's still being tested. You can specify accounts by tags, so you can only use certain accounts that have certain tags. This is helpful if you're running multiple servers. For example, you can tag some accounts server 1, server 2, server 3, and then just load the accounts for each server, for the respective server. You hit save, it'll load the task, it'll load them here. You hit start all. Like I said before, it'll only run the maximum concurrent ones that you have in your settings. So mine's being set to 10, it'll only run 10 tasks at a time. This will be running tasks, queue tasks, or tasks that haven't ran yet. It's waiting for the running task to run. Then it'll take 10 more out of the queue tasks and rinse and repeat till all done. Entered is how many tasks were entered into the draw. Waiting is how many tasks are waiting for the draw time before they enter. Winning, how many tasks hit. Error, how many tasks got errors. There's a bunch of errors. It could be proxy validation, it could be login error, it could be a bunch. There's a huge list. I won't go completely into that, but they'll show up over there on that list. Going over here to account activity. So another really nice feature from Project Enigma is they do offer activity generations on your accounts. So as you know, Sneakers does a lot of early access, and those off-white dunks coming out in August next month, they're going to be early access only. No one knows for sure exactly what they check for early access, but a lot of it probably will end up being how much stories you watch and your activity on the app itself. So Project Enigma offers different modes for generating activity: stories, which will log in, watch stories on the Sneakers module, and just go through the story. It'll run that just specifically, and then once it's done, it'll complete. Or there's auto browse. It'll go on the website. It'll go up and down, click products, things like that, simulate random activity. Login EA, basically it'll log into the account, check for early access, if you have any or not for that account. And then manual basically means it just log into that account and you can go on that browser physically and actually move around yourself. So yeah, you can start all just like how you start tasks. We'll do the same thing, run 10 at a time, wait till those are done, do the other 10, so forth. There's experimental mode for this as well. And then you have your errors here and then complete a task, things like that. Very cool feature to have. That's pretty much it from Project Enigma. Like I said, it's been very good running this bot. It's been very consistent. Definitely satisfied with it, and I do look forward to running it a lot more. Now, I know I might have went through this a little quick. So if there's any sections in particular, especially if you're just setting it up for the first time, let me know in the comments. I can help out. Hit me up on Discord. I'll leave my Discord group down below, my Discord username. All providers I use, like my sneaker accounts, Awesome, Astro accounts, I'll leave that down below where you can purchase that, and a code for that as well. But yeah, just let me know if there's anything I can go over. I respond to all my comments. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like on the video, please, and look out for my next videos.